Okay, I'm excited to finally read something that's excitingly fun and wonderful. When I read old comics like this, X Factor, especially like X Factor, where it's got the original X-Men back together again, I feel like I'm spending time with old friends, and that's what I really dig. So I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm probably going to be skewed on my grading of it, but I'll be honest. The cover, if it wasn't an X Factor #2, I probably would not go, ooh, I got to read this. It's the art's not bad, but I usually say cover for the cover concept. Like, does the cover make you want to read it? Well, when I saw X Factor #2, giant size annual, that's what drew me to read it, not so much the cover itself. So I'll give the cover a C, just so I can be a little bit more fair. Now the cover art, B, and the inside art, overall it stays pretty well. I don't know why they give him devil horns a lot more than they used to. Maybe it's because he's under the influence, which if you read the story, you know why. I say the cover is a good solid B. It's above average, but not much. I mean, it's not the most amazing thing. And I miss the good old days when we had ads and in this paper that doesn't shine and blind you when you're trying to read it. I was just looking at another comic book that had paper that was all made out of plastic pretty much. So even though it says X Factor, we're starting off with the kid from Fantastic Four. And then he's having a nightmare. He's dreaming that he's going to the moon and it's going to explode. And he's telling the power pack. I'm like, oh, I forgot about the power pack. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we got the power pack and him. And they're all like teasing him like, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. He's like, I'm just telling you one of my dreams. It was one of my special dreams. And then we got Leech and they're all playing. And it seems like they're having a play date. Who's watching these kids is what I want to know. Like Mr. and Mrs. whatever I'm trying to say here, Jean Grey and Scott Summers, I should say it that way. They only know about, I forgot what his name is. He's one of those ones I know Leech. I mean, he's one of the main characters when we first meet the Morlocks. This guy, he seems to cast kind of like Psyche did, makes images of what people are thinking or something. But what I want to know is, who's watching these kids? I mean, where are their parents at? It just seems weird. They're in Central Park in New York. I would never let my kids just play in Central Park in New York. I think that's weird. But hey, I'm not from New York. I've never been to New York City. I've never been to Central Park. Maybe it's wonderfully safe back then. I have my doubts, though. I have my doubts. I mean, I used to watch Night Court, which was always talking about people doing crazy stuff in Central Park. So I'm pretty sure Night Court was about the same time this was. Anyway, so that's one of my little story loopholes that makes me go, I don't know. There's nobody watching these kids, and I feel like that's really strange. And then he's saying, oh, because he has superpowers. Right. I think still, you know, I think they've been making it more tempting because they might end up frying somebody. All right, so we have this impromptu meeting between basically our X-Men, or what they call it here, the exterminators. And it goes from there. Basically, they end up, that his dream comes true. They end up accidentally get teleported with him to the moon. The X-Men, in other words, or X Factor, or exterminators, or whatever you want to call them. And it plays out that Jean Grey the whole time is confused. They're always saying, like, this is where you die. He's like, I've never been here. Because that was the other, that was Phoenix / Dark Phoenix. Marvel Girl has never become the Phoenix or Dark Phoenix up to this point. So that's where a lot of people are getting confused. And the writer does a really good job of making sure people understand. She's never been to when Phoenix assumed her position, Marvel Girl has never become the Phoenix up to this point. I know probably since then she has been several times, because that story is just, that's like putting a Borg in a Star Trek film. You're going to make some money. And it's starting to really rain outside. I get the doors are wide open so the cats can come and go as they want to. It's a wonderful thing about living at the end of a road by yourself. All right, so we got a really good story. And I'm going to say right now, the story is a good solid B. I wouldn't say A because it's not like, oh my gosh, my life has been changed. But it's above average. So definitely I want to give the story a B. The story concept, I want to give it more of a C, because honestly, it seems like it's like, I could have wrote this maybe or something. It just seems like very cliche, you know, getting people together and then first they're fighting or whatever. They're like, oh, who are you? Although at the end, it is nice to see that Pietro, or whatever they call him, the Quicksilver, is coming a little bit to his senses because he's under the possession of this dude, the mental possession. But I thought Benjamin's powers were a lot more strong. Ben Franklin, I mean. I just realized Ben Franklin. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Franklin. Fantastic Four. Franklin Richards. Why am I saying Ben Franklin? And then at the end, Pietro is freed from his mind control, and he visits his daughter he hasn't seen in a while. That's kind of sad. That's kind of nice at the end. So, you know, the story's not terrible. It's good. It's like, that's why I say I give it a B. But the concept itself, it's about average. I mean, it's a good. I didn't feel like I wasted time. I'll give it a C plus. Let me put it that way, because I didn't feel like I wasted time. So it wasn't one as I can give it or take it. I'm glad I read it. You know what? I'll give it a B for the concept, because the whole thing with the Phoenix versus Jean Grey, that played a lot into it too. And I do like that part of the concept, because he's like, Jean, about Phoenix, I know now it wasn't you. When I loved it, I thought it was. You know, he's stuttering because she's getting tired of being compared to the person who replaced her. And heck, how did you not know it wasn't me? Hey, nobody knew it was not her. So he's going to take her to the place where Phoenix died, and just to, you know, fill her in on what she's missed while she was in a coma. So tell me what you thought of this comic. Did you enjoy it when you read it back in the day? Or like me, did you read it years later? Like, I don't remember reading this. I did have a subscription to X-Men or X Factor the very first year it came out. And this was not the first year.